Fadl ya akhi.
Do you think if Palestine is like restored, like because the way Hamas is fighting right now, do you think if Palestine becomes free or takes a turn where Palestine gets most of its land back, is that a sign of the end of times?
Question is regarding if Palestine gets its land back. Will that be a sign of the end of times? La adri. I don't know. Like I said before, and I'll say again, uh, our prayers are for our brothers and sisters there suffering, and many other parts of the world in which the Muslims are suffering. And I keep placing emphasis on that because many of us are victims of nationalism and we don't even realize it, or racism and prejudice. And, oftentimes these are certain reasons why we're in the situations that we're in. And I'm not saying nothing negative about the brothers and sisters in Palestine. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm just speaking historical facts. Oftentimes, the reason why I got in this situation was because of this problem and that problem. It wouldn't have happened. Okay? But I'm talking about different dawah organizations and charitable organizations that only talk about these Muslims here and there and raise money and do this. And there are Muslims in so many different countries suffering. Now, are certain situations different? Yes. We don't deny that. Are there specific virtues of certain locations? We're not denying that. But the heart, the compassion, the sympathy, the empathy should be for every Muslim. And it shouldn't just be for, oh, you're Black American, so therefore my heart goes out to you. I want to make dua and help you out because you're a Black American Muslim. Okay, well here I have a Muslim who comes from Bosnia that's in need, that's suffering, that's going to, oh, well, I'm just about the Black Muslims. That's a problem, and vice versa. The Bosnian Muslims, they're the only ones that deserve the sadaqah. They're the only ones that will collect money for. They're the only ones that will send relief to. What about the Black American Muslims? So it's supposed to be anyone saying La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Your heart is supposed to go out for them. That's the point I'm trying to make. At the end of the day, the sad situation there as we currently speak and has been going on for many years, okay, has different causes and reasons, different theories, different explanations. If they got their land back or most of their land back and became free, and then Masjid al-Aqsa was free, which we ask Allah to allow us to see that. Allahumma ameen. Is that a sign of the end of times? La adri. Allahu alam. Amjad.
When Nabi Isa returns and he descends, I believe, in Damascus, and then he goes to join the Mahdi, what masjid will that be in? Aqsa or Umayyad masjid?
In which he joins him?
Yeah, where is the Mahdi at that time? Which masjid?
La adri.
Barakallahu feek. What's the ruling on wedding registries?
A wedding registry? What about it?
Is it what's the ruling on that?
There's nothing wrong with registering your marriage. That's fine. Wallahu alam.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. City and state.
What's the
initials?
What's the ruling on making dua? Should it be general or specific or both?
Both. Dua should be both. The prophetic duas, of course, are the best. The quickest way between 2 points is a straight line. But it doesn't mean that you can't make your own dua to Allah. Allah, Wallahu alam. Fadal.
If I'm reading my sunnah prayer and someone joins behind me with the intention of fardh, do I have to start reading out loud?
You're making a sunnah prayer. Someone joins you with the intention of fardh. Do you have to read out loud? No. They have to go and walk with you. You're the leader. They're following you. If you want to, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. Wallahu alam. Father.
Sheikh, with regards to I don't remember where, but I remember reading a narration with regards to yawning, and having to do with the shaitan. is there a ruling with regards to what is the etiquette of yawning inside of the salah or outside of it?
Understood. Well, there's no doubt. The Prophet ﷺ has spoken on the etiquette of yawning, what to do. Covering your mouth, suppressing it, so on and so forth. And the salah as well, it should be done. And we know that the Messenger of Allah ﷺ tells us that when the Muslim stands in his prayer, Allah is in front of him. So anything that's disrespect shouldn't be done. That's why you can't spit in front of you. Alright? So you should have the utmost etiquette when you're standing in the prayer. Some scholars mention some of the wisdoms behind that guidance concerning the yawn. Whether it be a very unpleasant sight, a person opening his mouth, leaning back, making that noise. Alright, the shaitan loves laziness and lethargy, being tired, fighting off tiredness, so on and so forth. So the shaitan himself, a shaitan, alright, entering the body, being with the person who yawns, let alone the different acts that the shaitan is pleased with. Okay? So there are many wisdoms behind covering the yawn and suppressing it. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Those are some. Wallahu alam. Fadal akhi.
I heard from a scholar, I don't know if I should say his name, but he said that sometimes Allah shows you a blessing because of your sin. Allah will take it away from you, right? And I don't know if it's good to think like this, but sometimes I think like if I do a certain sin, Allah will take away what's good for me or whatever. But I feel like that makes Allah seem like in a negative aspect. You know, I know you want to think Allah's Ghafur Rahim, most merciful. Is that bad to think that way? And also, what's it called? If you repent, right? And is it okay to think that maybe that happened because you've done a certain sin? Maybe this happened or this or that, you know?
Understood. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clearly tells us in the Quran that nations were punished, things were taken away from them, blessings were stripped from them because of their disobedience. And of course the greatest of disobedience being kufr and shirk and all the sins afterwards. So that's a fact. That's not one share, that's a fact. The problem comes in which I come along and you know, this happened to you specifically, but how do I know? How do you know? How does he know? Allah is Ghafur Rahim, Ra'uf. Allah is subhanahu wa ta'ala the most merciful, the most compassionate, the most kind. Azza wa Jal. So therefore, we don't know what happens. It could be a test. It doesn't necessarily have to be a punishment. And Allah tells us in the Quran that if He were to punish us for what we deserve, nothing would be, I wouldn't be here. So just because you lose something or you get sick or something breaks down or something, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's a punishment, or that doesn't necessarily mean it could be a test. It could be a means of forgiveness. We don't know specifically. And I've done a lecture on, it's a full lecture on how do I know Allah is punishing me or testing me. Please go back to that lecture. It's very important with regards to the proper spiritual psychology and not getting entangled and caught up in depression and despair and this happened to me and all because I'm this and I'm not a real Muslim, such and such. Be mindful of that. Allah is most merciful, and Allah is also severe in His punishment. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Tfaddal Abir.
UK, Leicester, UK. Ustad, if defensive jihad is fard ayn, then would one need permission from parents to go to Palestine and support the Muslims?
Al-Jihad fi sabilillah, no doubt about it, has different levels of rulings. Recommended, obligatory, fard ayn, fard kifaya. To keep things brief, if and when the jihad fi sabilillah is fard ayn, there is no seeking of permission from your parents. Worrying about debts and these things when the jihad is fard ayn. Alright? Wallahu ta'ala alam.
UK, Leicester, UK. Ustad, what's the closest way to the sunnah to perform qunut dua in these days for our brothers and sisters, in which salah, etc.?
Understood. Qunut, no doubt is from the Sunnah with regards to Muslims that are being persecuted. But I don't know if I'm right to say this, but I mean, Muslims being persecuted all the time, around the clock. Unfortunately, whether you realize it or not. And once again, that goes back to my previous advice. Without diminishing or without taking anything away from our brothers and sisters in Palestine and Gaza and other parts of Palestine. Okay? But it's a fact. Many people, they only mandate the qunut when it's happening to one type of people, one race. Okay? Whether it's overseas, this country, that country. It's a fact. Okay? And not to open up a can of worms, but politics have a heavy influence on different rulings and different policies of a country. So you may be in a country in which they allow qunut to be done. If it's a rule, you can't do qunut when you want to. You'll get in trouble. The government won't allow you to. But these people here, make qunut for them in this war. These people, Ummah of Muhammad, they're Muslims, they're fighting this and that, America, oh, no qunut. How does that work? You get what I'm trying to say? So, no doubt about it, Palestine in general is a special place. Okay? Al-Masjid al-Aqsa, without a question. There's no doubt about that. There's no discussion, there's no ijtihad to be made. However, the point I'm trying to make is that there are Muslims suffering in so many other countries. They have been. But no one is making or doing qunut for them. So we cannot allow ourselves to look for the cure and the remedy through backwardsness. That's the point I'm trying to get across to you. You get it or not? We cannot allow ourselves to fall victims again to backwardsness. And from the backwardsness that we suffer from is that we only worry about certain things. We're bothered and touched by certain things for certain Muslims. And that's wrong. Wallahu alam.
BM Ajax, Ontario. When it comes to the obligations of the prayer, should a person follow the hadith of the one who prayed badly?
Another thing that we have to be careful of as well, very important, is that we cannot allow the news and the media to dictate to us our actions. And that's exactly what happens. If the media floods everything, this, we jump, we react. But the moment that stuff is outside of the news, it's no longer in the media, we forget about it and we turn away from it, and that's wrong. So obviously, the mainstream media, that's not, none of this, we got to talk about that. Okay, the joke, the lies, the outward, plain, flagrant bias reports. That's clear as day. The agenda is crystal clear. You have to be a total fool to take the stuff that you're watching on CNN, BBC, Jazeera, whatever, just for face value. You had to be an absolute fool. Not everything is wrong. Not everything is a lie. Not everything is made up. But you'd be a fool if you just take what, when you swipe over on your iPhone, the feeds, these people. You'd be an absolute moron. All right? Take some of it. Allow some of what you see to lead you to other things. But there are other outlets out there. Okay? So the Muslims' hearts only turn on when we want them to turn on. This is what's happening here. You see the red light? Go, pray, make dua, sin, collect. The red light goes off, you Muslims go back to what?
Regular schedule program.
And that's a problem. There's humanitarian crisis in many Muslim countries as we speak. But it's Yemen. I'm not from Yemen, so who cares about what's happening in Yemen? Right? The Yemenis deserve that. That's the mindset. Or the Muslims suffering in Africa. They cross the border, they're trying to get to Europe. That's their fault. They're stupid. Who told them to go to the desert? Who told them to try to sneak into Sicily and France through the Mediterranean? That's their fault. This is reality. These Muslims are suffering in Pakistan and India, Afghanistan. Well, they had no business fighting the Americans. They had no business doing such and such. Now, I don't think too many of us will say things like this, but our actions, what? Clearly prove that. But like I said before, forget Yemen, Forget Afghanistan. Forget Niger or wherever the place is. But Black American from Philly. Oh, we gotta do something about this. We gotta immediately raise money, make dua, make qunut because they. You get it? My enemy has done what? He's dictated to me my what? My actions. And that's the worst thing that can happen to you in a boxing match. Is when I faint, when I flinch, you. So all I have to do is do that a few times. Every time I move my shoulders, he puts his guard up. So now, body shot. It's done. So we have to be careful. Wallahu alam.
BM Ajax Ontario. When it comes to the obligations of the prayer, should a person follow the hadith of the one who prayed badly, or the hadith of pray as you have seen me pray? How do we coincide?
There's no contradiction between those hadiths. You pray based off of the knowledge that you have of all of the hadiths of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
IR Detroit, Michigan. How do we hunt in a halal way?
How do you hunt in the halal way? You have to learn the basics of hunting. The basic do's and don'ts of hunting. Which are relatively simple. But you have to learn them.
MA Bronx, New York. When you're traveling and you get to your destination and staying less than 3 days can shorten and combine the salah when you get to the destination, and how do you determine who is a traveler?
First part of the question, if you're there for less than 3 nights, you're still a traveler according to that view, inshallah ta'ala. How do you determine who's a traveler? It's 2 ways. You can use mileage or you can use custom. Mileage is roughly 50 miles, 45 miles, give or take. Custom and tradition. So I'm traveling to upstate New York, Peekskill. How many hours am I going to drive for?
2 hours.
2. New York custom tradition. Traveler or not?
Traveler.
I would say so. In that direction, for sure.
So, yep, you get the point? Paying a toll on the bridge.
Traveling.
You understand? وهكذا والله أعلم.
What about taxi drivers?
Fadda.
BM Ajax Ontario. Are there any evidences of raising the finger for tashahhud?
Next question from a new questioner.
AM from Atlantic City, New Jersey. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Does a parent who neglected his children still deserve the right to be obeyed by his children?
Parent who neglected his children still deserves respect and benevolence. As far as the absolute obedience for a father that was never there, a mother that was never there, then that's a different story.
HH Lubbock, Texas. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm giving da'wah to my father-in-law, and he asked why was Isa alayhi salam's birth important? How should I answer it?
Isa's birth was important because Isa's a prophet in Islam and outside of Islam. Isa's birth was important. One may say Isa's birth changed history. Okay, to this very day, we're living in the shade of, that's a fact, America, okay? Rome, right? So Christ's birth was important because he's a prophet with the message. And Christ's birth was important because it was a fork in the road for many people, many humans, from then until now. Allah Ta'ala.
UA Tempe, Arizona. Mufti, you still haven't visited me in Arizona.
SubhanAllah. Inshallah, I would love to come check you out. I was in Arizona for a couple of hours when I was going to Fresno. Hopefully I can make it back there and get with you brothers there, inshallah ta'ala, soon enough. Inshallah. Jazakallah khairan.
CB College Park, Maryland. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Ahsanallahu ilayk. AU Seattle, Washington.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Barakallahu feekum.
AU Seattle, Washington. If a family member is having family issues, should one ignore it and be silent?
Adina Nasiha, give advice.
NM Sharjah, UAE. Was it the way of the earlier scholars on clarifying their stances about an issue when they were accused of innovations, etc.?
Was it the way of earlier scholars on being asked or requested to clarify their views on different innovations, etc.? Yes and no. Many books that were written in defense, many books are written in accusation. There are different munadarat, different arguments or discussions that were made, so on and so forth, controversy. And there's some scholars that were accused of things, or things were said about them, and they did not write books about. They could have been asked, and it was recorded or reported. Sometimes nothing was said. One thing we know for sure is that the silly, immature, simple-minded, simplistic way today is muhdath, is new, and is exaggerated. I free myself from you. No, I said I free myself from you first. You're the best person in this masjid. You're the most smart. You're the most intelligent. You're this, mashallah. You're a giant of Islam. And then next week, you're a dog. You're burning in hell. You're a deviant. And so is your mother. Your mother's a dog and she's a deviant as well. And then he says, no, you can't say that about him. He's such and such, such and such. And then the next thing you know, you and him are calling each other dogs. And then, I'll clarify my position. No, I retract what I said. No, I take it back. I take back my retraction of what I said, of what I retracted. That's the game today. And anyone with two eyes can clearly see that online. Scholars and students of knowledge behaving like this. One day, this scholar is a mujahid. And the next day, he is the most harmful person upon Islam. How does that happen? So we're dealing with extremism, overzealousness, and at the end of the day, lack of sincerity. Lack of sincerity. And of course, the ignorant, fanatical sheeple, okay? Just think about the animal, right? That's lied to. Here, come get a carrot, come get an apple, come get some grain. You don't give him the food. But for sure, the animal will come again if you do the same thing over and over again. So if that's what you're talking about, then of course we know the answer. And the Salaf al-Salih have nothing to do with that crap and that nonsense that's happening, that's been happening, and people are bullying and saying, this person, we're... La. Abadan. Forget about it, right? Victor? Like, photo.
MA Hyderabad, India. When I leave off a mustahab act, I feel a lot of guilt.
We'll stop here tonight. Sallallahu sallam wa barak. Ala abdihi wa rasulihi nabiyina wa imamina Muhammad.